Overwhelmingly in favor of banning foreign government and entities that they own, control, or influence from making campaign contributions or financing communications for or against candidates or ballot questions. Take a look at your screen. 86% of Maine voters saying they want to limit foreign spending in Maine elections. Only 14% voting no. This yes vote tonight means foreign governments or organizations which have at least 5% foreign ownership or control are now banned effectively from spending money to influence ballot measures or candidate elections here in Maine. This question, too, originally stems from Canadian company Hydro-Quebec's efforts to support the power corridor in Maine in 2021. The group Maine Citizens for Clean Elections says tonight the results show Mainers care about issues surrounding money and politics. Critics had said question 2 violates free speech, and Governor Janet Mills had previously vetoed 2 pieces of legislation banning foreign spending, saying it's unconstitutional, but Mainers obviously seem to think otherwise. Guys.
Stephanie, thank you. Also breaking tonight, question 4, Maine's so-called right to repair question, also projected to pass, making Maine the second state in the country to have this one on the books.
Yeah, we follow Massachusetts. They passed it by a similar margin, actually, back in 2020. In fact, if this holds, it'll be a wider margin here in Maine. The results so far, again, the yes side, the projected winner at 85%. A huge win for the yes side on right to repair.
Fox 23's Mal Meyer is live in Portland. Mal, you just spoke with supporters. What do they have to say?
Yeah, well, they have been trying to get this to the voters for years now, as we just mentioned. So supporters with the Right to Repair Coalition are feeling very happy right now. Independent car repair shops say they can get information from manufacturers that they need to fix vehicles, but they worry eventually that will change. And with more complex cars in the future, the shops won't know what's wrong with their vehicle. So some argue that it will be left just to dealerships to do this work. For the Right to Repair Coalition, which has pushed for this issue, a big part of their work was just getting people to understand what may happen if this wasn't passed.
I think we're proud of Maine for voting in favor of this. We know that Maine is big believers in do-it-yourself and having the independence to shop around for the best options, and that's what this vote is for tonight.
So in response, the president and CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, which represents some of the biggest car manufacturers, said that this result is disappointing but not surprising. He says that out-of-state big box auto retailers that don't speak for independent auto repairs spent nearly $5 million trying to scare Mainers into thinking that the right to repair their vehicles was going away. But the organization says that it was not going away and that this right to repair already existed. Reporting live in Portland, Mal Meyer, Fox 23 News at 10.
All right, Mal, thank you so much. Numbers are starting to roll in for Portland's mayoral election, but it looks like we won't get a final result tonight since no candidate appears to be reaching that 50% threshold. So this will likely go to a ranked choice vote.
Yeah, and that could be actually days before that. Is all up to the city to decide when they're going to make that happen. Let's go live now to Fox 23's Anna Kuhn. She's live for us in Portland. Anna, what are you hearing tonight from the candidates?
Greg, Marissa, that's right. It's looking like there won't be a winner declared tonight as we see more and more likely to head to a ranked choice count. But there is one candidate tonight who's leading in the polls, and that's Councillor Mark Dion. He's joining me now live. Councillor Dion, how are you feeling tonight?
I feel good. I think we got our message out to the voters. The numbers seem to support that. I appreciate we're going to go to ranked choice, but we always anticipated that that was a likely outcome.
And what do you expect from a ranked choice count tomorrow?
Well, I think once we calculate those numbers as well as the absentee, I hope our team will see a victory.
And what's your message to your supporters tonight?
Thanks. Thank you to everyone who's helped get our message out. Thank you to everyone who greeted at the polls. Thanks to everyone who did all that backroom work that makes a campaign succeed. I'm appreciative tonight of their work and of the voters' confidence.
Councillor, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Like we said, we're likely heading to a ranked choice count tomorrow. If that happens, city officials say they'll start that count tomorrow at about 10 a.m. We'll be sure to keep you updated as more numbers come in. Live in Portland, Anna Kuhn, CBS 13 News.
All right, that's the breaking news. They plan to do that at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Thank you, Anna. And also breaking news in the mayoral race up in Lewiston, where we're learning that the current mayor, Carl Chalene, will be in a runoff now with Jonathan Connor.
Here is a look at those results. No numbers in there, but again, we do have that confirmation from the city tonight that we will be going to a runoff. Let's go live to Lewiston now and Fox 23's Owen Kingsley. Owen, what can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, no ranked choice here. It's going to a runoff election between former state representative John Connor and current mayor Carl Shaleen. Okay, I'll give you a couple of those numbers. 4 candidates on the ballot this year, and 2 of them were unable to reach 1,000 total votes. 2 of them reaching more than 3,000, that being, of course, Connor and Shaleen. Shaleen with the lead at just over 3,600 and John Connor with just over 3,000. We reached out to both Shaleen and Connor tonight. They were unable to talk to us on camera. However, Carl Shaleen did release a statement, in part says, quote, "I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to work alongside people from all over the city and all across the political spectrum to make our city better over the last 2 years. Work that has been particularly meaningful as we've risen to meet the challenges of the October 25th shooting." Now, we also reached out to John Connor tonight. He did not have a formal statement to give, but over the phone, he did tell me that he is grateful for all the voters who came out tonight, fulfilling their civic duty. He says the voters have spoken and want change. He says that he's looking forward to the runoff election, which he told me is scheduled for December 12th. He also says that he'll start reaching out to voters tomorrow. Now, a couple of other interesting things to highlight from the official results given to us by the Lewiston City Clerk's office. Of the 7 seats on the city council, 6 of them will be replaced according to these results. Only 1 member of city council has been reelected. That's Scott Harriman. Several other people running for reelection all did not get it tonight. We'll have more of those coming up later on our website, WGME.com. You'll see all those total results. For now, live in Lewiston, I'm Owen Kingsley with Fox 23 News at 10. Marissa, Greg, back to you guys.
Yeah, that's interesting. We did see a lot of contention on that city council in recent weeks before, of course, the tragedy a couple weeks ago. All right, Owen Kingsley for us in Lewiston tonight. And still ahead, speaking of that tragedy, Lewiston strong.
How a museum is preserving the community response over the last 2 weeks.
And a cold front has made its way through. The mild temperatures from today, that will be ancient history for tomorrow. How much cooler it's going to get and when to expect snow in a wintry mix. That returns to the forecast next.
Back to our Vote 2023 coverage. And Mainers facing 8 statewide referendum questions today, covering a range of topics, including foreign influence in Maine elections. That was question 2. The right to repair, question 4. And one of the most contentious, of course, over the future of electricity in Maine, question 3.
We're on your side, breaking them all down tonight as we learn those results. Question 1 asking about requiring voter approval for debt. It is being pushed by the organization No Blank Checks, which is also funded by CMP's parent company Avangrid. The question asked voters to approve taking on more than $1 billion in debt by certain government-controlled entities and utilities. A yes vote would support requiring voter approval, while a no vote would oppose requiring voter approval. You can see a pretty big margin there, 66% saying yes.
That might very well pass, but we'll see if we get an official projection there. Question 2, also born out of question 3. The controversy there, it concerns elections and foreign governments, whether they should still be allowed to spend money on campaigns in Maine. To be clear, you cannot spend money in Maine campaigns for individual candidates as a foreign company or controlled organization. This would close a so-called loophole and extend that to referendum questions as well. And this one, not even close. 86% voting yes. It is projected, as you can see, to pass. Question 2, again, passing by a wide margin tonight.
And question 3, no doubt the most high-profile and contentious issue on the ballot over who delivers electricity across the state. Again, it is projected to fail. It would have ousted Maine's 2 private legacy utilities, CMP and Versant, and replaced them with Pine Tree Power, a consumer-owned public power company. Supporters have said it would ultimately lower rates, but opponents argued it is a big risk with no guarantees. Again, that's projected to fail.
Let's go on to question 4, known as the right to repair. The issue, part of a growing national debate, really, not just involving cars, but cell phones, farm equipment, of course, increasingly computerized. And fixing them means having access, not just to parts, but also the right diagnostic tools, computer codes, all of that, and needing to identify the problem. And again, you can see the numbers right there.
And car manufacturers will now be required to standardize onboard diagnostic systems and provide remote wireless access to those systems and the data to the car owner, as well as independent repair shops.
All right, let's go to question 5 now. That's a response to the workload in the Secretary of State's office. It would give them more time to review signatures for Maine referendums. The question asking whether to extend that time given to the Secretary of State's office and her team to review those citizen petitions from 100 calendar days to 100 business days. Let's give them the weekends too, folks. In fact, this adds another 40 calendar days. Now again, this one actually among the closer we're seeing tonight. If approved, it would help to reduce that burden on the Secretary of State's office. But at this point, 57% yes is winning. Too close to call though at this moment.
And question 6 asked voters whether some omitted sections of Maine's Constitution should be included in official printings of the document. Back when Maine separated from Massachusetts, there were clauses that included certain obligations toward the Wabanaki tribe. While those clauses do remain in effect, they are not printed in the official Maine Constitution.
Yeah, question 6, it would cancel an amendment that was passed way back in 1876 regarding Maine's obligations to the Wabanaki tribe being printed in the state constitution. Again, this is not an actual change to the Constitution. This is just changing what was passed about 160 years ago over what's printed 150 years ago. So again, this appears to be passing, but again, still too close to officially call.
Question 7 asks about removing a provision that requires people circulating petitions to be Maine residents and also be registered to vote here in the state. It looks to align the state with a federal court ruling in 2022 that struck down Maine's requirement that signature gatherers trying to get items on the ballot must be Maine residents, and voters finding it to be unconstitutional. At this point, 69% saying no, 31% yes. That race has not been projected yet at this point.
That's interesting too, especially since that's already been ruled unconstitutional, but people saying no, we don't want to make that change, at least
more of
at
a
this
housekeeping
point.
issue.
It's supposed to be housekeeping, but voters saying no so far. Question 8, kind of similar. It asks whether or not another provision should be removed from Maine's Constitution. This one about the voting rights of people under guardianship because of mental illness. This provision states they are currently not able to vote for state offices. A yes vote allows Mainers under guardianship of mental illness to vote. A no vote continues that prohibition. To be clear, folks, this has actually been found to be unconstitutional too. And in fact, this was also kind of a housekeeping issue. And our understanding is that people under guardianship are actually legally voting right now because of that, that court case. But again, at this point, too close to call, and the no side actually slightly ahead.
We do want to take a break for a moment from election coverage and turn to our weather. It was a pretty nice day to get out and vote. We do have changes on the way, though.
Yeah, we try to vote for those 60-degree temperatures, but I don't think we're winning that vote. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. He'll have that full forecast for us in just 15 seconds.
If you get hurt in an accident, the insurance company doesn't care. They just want you to take what they offer, and they'll hassle you until you do. Stop the hassle. Call Hardy Wolf and Downing at 1-800-INJURED. We are Maine's injury lawyers.
I vote sunny and warm as well. We are tracking big changes, as Greg and Marissa mentioned. Today we had a cold front move through. You might have noticed that cold front brought with it a shower, a thunderstorm. Some of you got a little bit of hail mixed in with that thunderstorm. We enjoyed a nice little sunset right there. That was right around 4:21, earlier and earlier. Speaking of hail, that's a viewer sent us this photo from Cumberland. Thank you, Matt. We had a little bit of hail in many areas out there today as that little front made its way through. Now, cooler air is moving in. Party's over. Those low 60s that we had today, that's ancient history tomorrow. We hit 62 for a high in Portland today. Lewiston, you hit 60 degrees. Current temps are in the 40s. Look at Mount Washington. It's 18. Just goes to show you it's colder. It's pretty cold at about 6,000 feet in elevation. And the winds are gusting right now, hurricane force up there, 77 miles per hour. So some serious wind is occurring above us tonight aloft. At the ground level, most areas are gusting 20, 25 miles per hour. There's a wind advisory in effect for tomorrow for Coos, actually all of Oxford County, northern Franklin, Somerset County, and Piscataquis County as well. There is no advisory out for Coos County currently. There are some fingers of snow showers in the mountains getting going. Outside of that, any leftover rain from today, that is a front that made its way offshore and cooler air is invading behind this front. So let's talk about the next couple of days here. Tomorrow's going to be sunny, it's going to be cool, and it's going to be windy. Wind chills will be in the 30s, air temps will make a run at 40 degrees. I think low 40s will be common for highs. Now our next weather maker moves in on Thursday. This one looks cold enough to support snow and a wintry mix. It's going to be very light though. This is not going to be a big storm. In fact, there are no big storms in sight, but it might be enough for some slippery travel. Keep an eye on that, especially in the morning. So light snow mix being sleet, potentially a little bit of freezing rain, especially in New Hampshire and Vermont. But we will probably see at least a little bit of plain old rain for southern and coastal zones. It's a pretty fast mover. It's gone during the afternoon on your Thursday. Let's get a little bit closer and I'll show you what I mean. We'll start tomorrow with temps around 30. Look for a lot of sun tomorrow. It's going to be a beautiful sunny day. But the wind is going to make it feel a little bit cooler. Air temps make a run at the low 40s. Wind chills will be in the low 30s tomorrow. Now on Thursday, initially we're cold enough at the ground level and aloft to support some snow. That's about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. This might be enough to make the roads a little bit slippery in a few spots. But as we go through the late morning hours, I think we'll transition over sleet, maybe a little freezing rain. It's going to be very, very light though. That's about 12:30 or so. Notice some inland towns are in the low 30s. We're rising above the freezing mark at the coastline. And this slowly starts to exit the area. We're probably going to end with drizzle or freezing drizzle on your Thursday. Friday, temperatures will get a boost back into the upper 40s to near 50 degrees. So as far as Thursday goes, snow, sleet accumulation, we're probably talking a coating to an inch, more likely a coating for many areas. Best chance for up to 2 inches will probably be in the mountains. Stay tuned to this because that front end, the front part of the storm system that comes in on Thursday morning, I could see a situation where it snows at a pretty good clip for maybe half hour, an hour or so, and then we'll transition over to sleet. The big question is how much snow can we accumulate over a very short period of time with marginal temperatures. Temperatures tomorrow will be in the low 40s. We're talking late day highs in the upper 30s on Thursday. Most of the day will be in the mid 30s though. We're tracking some snow wintry mix and maybe a little bit of rain on Thursday. Again, not a big storm though. Friday will feature a lot of sun. Temps are in the upper 40s to near 50, and really the weekend is looking nice. However cool, high pressure is going to park itself over us. So low 40s will be common for highs with lows dipping into the 20s. That's a check of your forecast. We'll have another update coming up in a few minutes. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Mother Nature making it clear this is not a democracy. Back to reality here for November. Thanks, Charlie. Coming up next, 2 fatal fires in Maine in just 2 days.
How this year is proving to be more deadly than last year. A look at the numbers next. Lewiston Strong, a museum, is preserving the community's response to the mass shootings that happened nearly 2 weeks ago. The Maine Museum of Innovation, Learning and Labor is creating an exhibit as a way to memorialize both those we lost and the community response to what happened. The museum's executive director says it's a way to preserve the history of how Mainers are healing and moving forward stronger.
We're the local history and culture museum here, so this really felt like our responsibility to the community to help document, archive, and display the memorial items that are being created throughout the city.
She says the day after the shooting, she and another local artist came to the realization that there would be many memorial items to come, and they began collecting displays and other items donated from vigils and memorials.
2 fires killed 2 people in just 2 days here in Maine. The most recent one happening overnight in Windsor, which is outside of Augusta. A little before 1 o'clock this morning, firefighters responded to a camper fire on Ridge Road. Crews found a man dead inside, identified now as 25-year-old Payson Viles. One person did escape with minor burns. Fire marshal investigators are still looking into a cause, but they say they do not believe that anything suspicious happened.
And just yesterday, firefighters say they found the remains of a man inside a home destroyed by fire in Carroll Plantation, that's northeast of Bangor. Firefighters say the remains are those of the homeowner, 57-year-old Jeffrey Macy, who lived alone at the home. The cause of that fire is under investigation. The Department of Public Safety says there have been 6 fire deaths in Maine in just the last 6 days, 22 so far this year. That's 3 more than all of last year, which saw 19 fire deaths.
Coming up next at 10:30, continuing our coverage, CMP and Versant here to stay. We're following a reaction to the defeat of Question 3 next.
And another push to roll back rent control in Portland again, where the latest challenge stands next.
About the huge win and the fact that yes, about the huge win. Yeah, I can hear you. The Pine Tree Power referendum that could have turned our power companies into a public-controlled entity.
Sorry, we had dead batteries. Okay, cool.
I can hear you, yep. Can you hear me? Yep, mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Continuing our election coverage now, Maine voters turning down an attempt to oust the state's corporate-owned electric utilities.
Yeah, voters picking the status quo over dismantling Central Maine Power and Versant Power and creating a nonprofit utility that would be called Pine Tree Power. Again, a lot of attention on this one. Let's take a look at the latest results. Again, the no side, clearly the projected winner here tonight. 71% of voters saying no.
Pretty wide margin there. CBS13's Brad Rogers is live in downtown Portland with the no campaign. Brad, what are you hearing from them tonight?
Well, you know, they're obviously elated that this happened, but it really should come as no surprise to voters. The Vote No on 3 campaign far outspent the Pine Tree Power in this. And really what it came down to, I think, too, for a lot of voters is that there were still a lot of unknowns with Pine Tree Power. You know, would it really do what it said it was going to do, and how were they going to pay back the debt, and would they be on the hook for all of that debt as well? Again, we spoke to the campaign chairperson for the Vote No on 3, and here's what he had to say.
But I think voters in Maine really did their homework. They did their research. They listened to both sides, and in the end, they just came to the conclusion that this was too expensive, wasn't going to save money, and was probably going to end up tied up in court for years and years.
Rich, they're talking about the possible litigation that this could have brought because CMP and Versant and their parent companies were not going to go down lightly if they were to lose this referendum, and it would have been tied up in court in all likelihood for quite some time. We're live in Portland. Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News. Back to you guys.
All right, Brad, thanks. Question 4, known as the right to repair, the issue part of a growing national debate, really, not just involving cars, but cell phones, farm equipment, a lot of stuff increasingly computerized. And fixing them, you got to have access to not just the parts, but the right information, the diagnostic tools, the codes, all that stuff to fix those problems.
Yeah, car manufacturers with this vote would be required to standardize onboard diagnostic systems and provide remote wireless access to those systems and the data to the car owner, as well as independent repair shops. You can see a yes vote is projected to win tonight with 84%, another very big margin tonight.
Huge number there. And we should point out Massachusetts was the first state to pass this in 2020, not quite by this margin, but by a fairly wide margin. That ended up in the courts for several years. In fact, they just came up with a solution to that earlier this year, but parts of it are still being litigated. So we may expect the same to happen in Maine.
Yeah, we could see this one end up in court as well.
All right, early numbers are now just rolling in again for Portland's mayoral election. 5 candidates in that one. At this point, we do not have any results so far for that race, but we do know it's going to head to a ranked choice runoff.
Yeah, that's expected to be done tomorrow morning. We want to check in with Fox 23's Anna Kuhn, who's been following these results and catching up with some of the candidates tonight. Anna, you're live in Portland. What's the latest there?
Marissa, Greg, like you said, it's not looking like a winner will be declared tonight, which leaves a lot of people hopeful, including people here at Councillor Pius Ali's camp who are hoping that tomorrow's ranked choice vote will go their way. But as you said, it is too close to tell. Right now, Portland City Councilor Mark Dion is leading in those polls by about 10 points, but he only has about 36% of the vote, which is far below the 50% needed to be declared the mayoral-elect. And right behind him are 2 other current city councilors, Andrew Zarro as well as Pius Ali. Both of those councilors are sitting at about 25% of the vote, but those numbers could change a lot if it heads to ranked choice count tomorrow. It all depends on who the losing candidates' ballots had marked as their number 2 choice. We spoke to Councilor Pius Ali earlier tonight, who said he thought a runoff might happen and was feeling hopeful.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, and I'm looking forward to the way the rest of the night will go, and probably see what happens tomorrow.
We are still waiting on results from absentee ballots, but as we've said tonight, it's looking like a ranked choice count will happen tomorrow, and city officials say that count will start at about 10 a.m. Live in Portland, Anna Kuhn, Fox 23 News at 10.
Anna, thanks so much. Yeah, still have to wait for those results. Let's turn now to the mayoral race in Lewiston, which is now going to a runoff between current mayor Carl Schelin and Jonathan Connor. We have a look at those results for you. You can see Schelin with 45% of the vote. Again, he's the current mayor. Jonathan Connor, 38%. Those two will be going to a runoff. Let's check in with Fox 23's Owen Kingsley, who is live in Lewiston tonight. Owen.
Good evening, Marissa. As you said, runoff election here in Lewiston between current mayor Carl Schelin and former state representative John Connor. I was able to speak with both of them. I'll share a little bit of what they said in just a few minutes, but you were just breaking down those numbers. 4 candidates on the ballot tonight. Just those 2 were able to surpass 3,000, but neither reaching 50%. Interestingly enough, just with absentee ballots tonight, we counted those, did some math with the city clerk's office, and Carl Schelin had just barely passed that 50% mark in just absentee ballots. But just less than an hour ago, we got those final results, and he, as you just mentioned, about 45% is leading right now, but it is going to have to lead to a runoff election if Carl Schelin does does want to serve a second consecutive term. A little bit of what they shared tonight, Carl Schelin providing our station with a formal statement. In part, it reads, "I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to work alongside people from all over the city and all across the political spectrum to make our city better over the last 2 years. Work that has been particularly meaningful as we've risen to meet the challenges of the October 25th shooting." We also reached out to John Connor tonight, who was unavailable for an interview. He didn't have an official statement to provide us, but he did tell me over the phone that he is grateful for all the voters who showed out today. He says that voters have spoken and that he believes voters here in Lewiston want a change in city leadership. He said he looks forward to this runoff election, which he told me is scheduled for December 12th. And he says he'll start reaching out to voters tomorrow. So that's the latest as far as the mayoral election here in Lewiston. A couple of other interesting things to point out. As far as the city leadership, there are 7 seats on the Lewiston City Council. After this coming year, there'll be 6 new members of City Council. Only one person won their re-election bid, and that person ran unopposed. There were 3 other people who were running for re-election, and according to these unofficial results from the city clerk's office, all 3 of them lost their races. So we'll have more details on this coming up on our website, WGME.com. Right now, live in Lewiston, I'm Owen Kingsley for Fox 23 News at 10.
Sounds like quite a shakeup on the council there in Lewiston. Owen, thank you. And we want to turn back to question 3 now and check in with Dan Lamparello, who is live in Portland.
Yeah, he's been speaking with the Yes campaign. And Dan, they have to be disappointed out there tonight.
They are, guys, and obviously this was a pretty large margin of loss, and it was something they did not want to talk about during their concession speech tonight. But what they did make clear is that they believe there is still momentum for this Pine Tree Power or consumer-owned utility movement, based on the fact that they believe that the current 2 investor-owned utilities, CMP and Versant, they still don't believe that they're serving Mainers in their best interests. They also talked a lot about the influence that the parent companies of both CMP and Versant had on this election. We talked all night about the millions and millions of dollars that were pumped in through advertising to help boost up this campaign against the Pine Tree Power movement. Here's a little bit about what their deputy campaign manager had to say about why they believe there's still momentum here for Mainers to buy into a consumer-owned utility.
What we saw today was that utilities have continued to spend money on our elections rather than our service, and that's the story. The story is that even when thousands of Mainers were asking for better service, they were failed once again by CMP and Versant.
Now again, the campaign here still believes that there are options available to them. Coming up tonight at 11, we'll ask them what they believe those next steps are, especially since the margin here with this loss as it comes in right now with 75% of the vote or so is so large between the yes and the no side here. But again, they still believe that there is momentum to have a consumer-owned utility in the state because they don't believe that the current utilities are serving Mainers in the right way. At 11, though, we question what are the next steps for Pine Tree Power. We're live in Portland. Dan Lamparello, Fox 23 News at 10. Back to you.
All right, Dan, we'll continue that coverage next over on CBS 13. Thank you. And after the break here on Fox, voters in Wyndham and Raymond deciding on a new middle school, just how much that would cost and who could foot the bill.
And helping the families of the victims killed in Lewiston, how the Mills administration is planning to cover funeral expenses.
And continuing our coverage of our Vote 23 election day, schools were on the ballot as well today. Voters in Windham and Raymond, for example, deciding if a new middle school should be built for students there in RSU 14. Now, if this passes, Jordan Smalls Middle School in Raymond and Windham Middle School, those would close. The schools would combine into a new building in Windham for grades 5 through 8. Price tag stands at $171.5 million. State money would cover most of that, leaving just shy of $40 million to be paid by taxpayers there locally. Windham homeowners, they would pay 80%, Raymond 20%. That's roughly a percentage of students coming from each town. Again, at this point, we are still awaiting results there. Those will be posted as we get them at WGME.com.
Voters in Scarborough deciding on a new $160 million elementary school. If passed, the proposal will create a new school for kindergarten through 3rd grade. Wentworth School would shift to 4th through 6th grades, and Scarborough Middle School would teach just 7th and 8th graders. According to community leaders, classrooms throughout the district are overcrowded. The population of Scarborough is growing, and town leaders say by 2027 they will be out of room. As for the price tag on that plan for at least the first decade of the 30-year loan, the town estimates about a $200 rise in property taxes for a home worth about $400,000. We will have results when we get them at WGME.com. And in Litchfield, Sabattis, and Wales, they are counting the votes on a 4th school budget proposal. This latest RSU4 budget stands at $21.6 million, about $200,000 less than budget number 3. The first 3 budgets were approved by the school board, but rejected by voters. We'll keep you posted.
And after the break, staying Lewiston strong.
How a bakery in Brunswick is helping the community to heal.
And cooler air is rushing in on a stiff northwest wind. How much colder it's going to get, when to expect a wintry mix. It's all in the forecast up next.
Hello, Luke. Yes, happening right now, we are talking about Ohio votes.
Continuing our election coverage now, we are briefly turning our attention to the Midwest tonight as Ohio votes overwhelmingly for abortion rights in the state.
Continuing a trend, Stephanie Grindley joining us live in the newsroom now with a look at those early results. Stephanie.
Greg, Marissa, the AP is reporting abortion rights supporters won an Ohio ballot measure. Making Democrats happy tonight. The ballot measure ensures access to abortion and other forms of reproductive health care in a state that Trump won by 8 percentage points in 2020. Republicans had already tried to derail the measure by calling an unusual August referendum to make it harder to pass ballot measures, a move that was rejected by Ohio voters. The AP reports tonight Ohio becomes the 7th state where voters decided to protect abortion access since Roe v. Wade was overturned. Greg, Marissa, back to you.
Stephanie, thanks for the update. A bakery is making Lewiston strong cookies to help the community move forward and heal.
Yeah, Wild Oats Bakery and Cafe in Brunswick is making Lewiston strong sugar cookies. They have that blue frosting, and there's a red heart there over where Lewiston is. And 100% of the sale proceeds are going to the Lewiston Auburn Response Fund.
Bakers say Lewiston is connected to so many surrounding communities.
This hit me just as hard as the Lewiston residents because not a lot of people realize, but we are twin cities, so whatever they feel, we feel that as well.
People who buy each cookie can bump up from $6.95 to $10 or give a cash donation if they don't have a sweet tooth.
All right, let's go ahead and turn back to our forecast now and check in with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Charlie.
Hey, Greg. We're tracking cooler temperatures moving in tonight. Overnight lows tonight will settle in the 20s and low 30s. I think we'll make a run at the low 40s for highs tomorrow, upper 30s on Thursday. Now, Thursday, some inland towns, you're probably going to stay only in the low to mid 30s as our next weak weather maker brings a wintry mix to the area. So Thursday is the day to watch, I think, for perhaps a little bit of slippery travel in the morning. Friday, we're back in the upper 40s. I don't think we'll need to shovel anything. We can just probably let it melt. Saturday, Sunday, we're still in the 40s here. So the 60s we had today, that's long gone starting tomorrow. Here's a look at your projected highs tomorrow. Your forecast highs are generally in the low 40s. That's half the story, though, because it's going to be windy tomorrow. Here we are tonight. That wind is gusting already over 20 miles per hour. That wind tomorrow is going to be gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. There'll be some peak wind gusts over 30 miles per hour. That's about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Notice most areas gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour during the afternoon. Now, how does that translate to how it feels? Factor in the air temperature, the wind speed. Here's a look at wind chill values. Now, overnight, those wind chills will dip into the low 20s. That's about 7 a.m. Perhaps kids heading to the bus stop. That's the temperature you need to dress for. And afternoon wind chills will mostly be in the low to mid 30s here. So tomorrow's going to be quite a bit cooler. It's kind of a shock to what we had today because today, certainly in comparison at least, today we were in the low 60s and tomorrow wind chills will be in the low 30s. There are a few fingers of snow showers tonight. We're seeing all that action up in the mountains. We call this upslope snow, and that is occurring in the White Mountains of New Hampshire and western mountains of Maine. Some light accumulations are possible there. You see some of those fingers continuing overnight. Now, downslope of the mountains, east side of the mountain ranges, we're clearing things out. Temperatures tomorrow morning will start in the 20s and low 30s. Afternoon highs tomorrow will be in the upper 30s and low 40s. So tomorrow's a cool day. Let's talk about our next weather maker moving in on Thursday. I think we'll get into a pretty good slug of snow for maybe 2 hours or so during the morning on Thursday. That's probably enough for a coating to an inch in a few spots. Before we transition over to sleet, maybe some inland freezing rain in a few spots or freezing drizzle. But coastal areas should warm up above freezing, while inland towns, I think we're struggling to get much above freezing during the course of the day on Thursday. Whatever falls is going to be very light. This is not going to be a big weather maker, not a big storm. There are no big storms in sight, in fact, but perhaps enough for some slippery travel in the morning on Thursday. Snowfall amounts and sleet amounts, we'll combine snow and sleet in this one, coating to an inch, basically area wide. There'll be a few spots up in the mountains that get maybe up to 2 inches of snow out of this one. Stay tuned as we get a little bit closer for Thursday, but again, not a big system. What's basically happening here, we're basically looking at a glorified warm front trying to punch into our area, and that's allowing for a burst of snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain. Overnight lows tonight, upper 20s and low 30s. Highs tomorrow make a run at the low 40s. Some inland towns will stay in the 30s. That light wintry mix moves in on Thursday. Friday's better. A lot of folks have Friday off for Veterans Day observed. Veterans Day Saturday, we should be in the mid 40s, and it stays cool and sunny in the extended forecast. Guys, back to you.
Charlie, thanks. Dave is in next with sports. The regional finals in high school soccer on the line tonight. The thrilling finish between Gorham and Scarborough, and how this game went to overtime.
Plus, Portland and Deering taking it down to the wire tonight. The one goal that stood tall. Next in sports.
to do it. Test 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. Back in the Lois Zerniak.
Now, the Ware Butler Sports Report on Fox 23 with Dave Eade.
Good evening, everyone. The regional finals in high school soccer beginning tonight for 8-person, along with classes A and D. Boys, Class A South, crosstown rivals Portland and Deering squaring off. Trip to states on the line, no score. Midway through the first, that is Deering's Nick Simon Mobamba. He drills home the direct kick for an amazing score and a 1-0 Rams lead. Second half, Rams looking for another, but look at this fingertip save from Portland goalkeeper Calvin Hale. Going up high for that one. Late in regulation, Bulldogs looking for the equalizer, but Rams goalkeeper Adio Lufamba Mambanza making a huge stop. Deering is headed to states after a thrilling 1-0 win over Portland. They will play Lewiston. The Blue Devils also winning 1-0 tonight as well. Girls Class A South, top-seeded Scarborough facing number 2 Gorham. No score in the first off a corner kick. Scarborough's Lana Duranovic drills it home in midair. A spectacular goal, giving the Red Storm a 1-0 lead. Second half now, still 1-0 Scarborough. Maggie Booth with a great move, and then she's gonna fire one top shelf for a 2-0 Storm lead. But the Rams not going away. Less than a minute later, Gorham awarded a penalty kick. Ashley Connolly picks her spot and puts it home. Rams within 1, under 4 to go. Rams storming the net. Lindy Moreland will fire home the equalizer. And the game was tied. We're headed to overtime. Early in the OT now. Actually, less than a minute in. Keep your eyes on Scarborough's number 13, Emmy Flaker, who shows off that blazing speed and puts home the game winner. Scarborough is heading to states after a thrilling 3-2 overtime win over Gorham.
We tried to just keep up our energy and not give up because we knew that we keep fighting and things would be in our favor.
All right, girls Class A North final, top-seeded Bangor facing number 2 Camden Hills. Second half, no score. Bangor's Olivia Scott finding Tegan Atherley, who buries it, giving the Rams a 1-0 lead. Minutes later, Rams would strike again, and again it's Atherley. This her second of the night. Bangor goes on to win it 2-1, so they'll play Scarborough on Saturday for the Class A state championship. So, wow, a lot of great soccer action out there tonight. It got colder, as Charlie mentioned.
I bet.
It started out nice, and then it got chilly.
Yeah, another busy night in sports, though.
Yeah, we got another one tomorrow night.
All right, keep it
Just
going.
for you.
Thanks, Dave.
Bundle up tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's going to be in the 20s for lows here,
Oh.
guys. So look for a nice clear sky
Find your hat,
tomorrow.
Dave.
Yeah, it's going to be a little windy. You need the hat tomorrow. Everyone's going to need the hat
Need
tomorrow
that.
night. But then a little wintry mix moves in for Thursday.
Thanks for joining us.
More election coverage ahead over on CBS 13 News at 11.
Supporting this effort that's been years in the making. Yes.
Hello and welcome to Election Night 2023 here in Maine. An off-year election, but a lot of big issues on the ballot with potentially big impacts. And we're here to get you results, projections, and reaction as it happens.
And we have breaking news coming in as we speak. The ticker on your screen has results updating every ballot question in the state.
Let's get right to some of the biggest ones, and perhaps the biggest one, question 3, getting rid of CMP and Versant, replacing them with a statewide public power utility. That is projected to fail. You can see right there, 71% of voters so far voting no.
Question 2, a plan to ban foreign money in Maine elections, including referendum campaigns, is projected to easily pass. You can see another wide margin there, 86% of people saying yes. Question 4, the right to repair, requiring certain car manufacturers to standardize onboard diagnostic systems and provide remote access to those systems to independent repair shops and owners.
Yeah, this one projected to pass as well, and again, by a very wide margin. You can see 84% voting yes to the right to repair. Also, 5 candidates running for mayor in Portland at this point. No candidates getting to 50%, so this is going to go to a ranked choice vote. That process expected to start tomorrow morning.
The mayoral race in Lewiston will go to a runoff vote. That is scheduled to happen in December between the top 2 candidates. That's current Mayor Carl Shaleen and Jonathan Connor. According to the city, those each earning over 3,000 votes.
All right, let's go ahead and start with question 3. Once again, Maine voters rejecting an attempt to oust the state's corporate-owned utility companies.
Voters choosing the status quo over dismantling Central Maine Power and Versant Power to create a nonprofit utility called Pine Tree Power. Taking another look at those results. Again, it's really not close here. 71% rejecting that measure. CBS13's Brad Rogers is live in downtown Portland with the No campaign. Brad, they have to be pretty happy tonight.
Yeah, this was really something, I tell you, Marissa. The Maine voters overwhelmingly rejecting this takeover bid of Maine's electric grid. Now, the rejection of Pine Tree Power, though, really shouldn't be all that surprising. Vote No on 3, that campaign spent millions to defeat this measure. But in the end, voters really thought it told us that it was just too many unknowns with Pine Tree Power, and they were also concerned about the cost to buy out those power companies. We talked to the head of the Vote No on 3 campaign, Willie Rich, a short time ago, and he talked to us about why he and Maine voters believe that Pine Tree Power was not the right way to go for Maine.
I think in the end, they just were not able to really show that they had a plan to make anything better. There were no guarantees in the bill that rates would go down or that we'd have more renewable energy or that customer service would be any different. The only thing we really knew for sure is that it was going to result in a big pile of debt that all of us would be on the hook for.
Now, CMP just issued a statement a short time ago. They say, with this referendum behind us, we are turning the page. As we look forward, we must continue to modernize our grid to support Maine's climate change goals, connect new renewable resources, and electrify our communities. CMP thanking Maine voters for those votes. We are live in Portland. Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News. Back to you guys.
All right, CMP and Versant staying put here in Maine. Brad, thank you. To the other side of the question now, Pine Tree Power supporters obviously disappointed tonight.
Yeah, again, the issue soundly defeated by the projections. Let's go ahead and check in with CBS 13's Dan Lamparello. He's with the Yes on 3 campaign, also in Portland tonight. Dan.
Well, guys, certainly not the results that the Pine Tree Power campaign were hoping for tonight, and they didn't want to even talk about the margin of loss between the two campaigns that Brad was just talking about there. But the one message they wanted to get across tonight is that this movement, they believe, to add a consumer-owned utility statewide in our state is still ongoing. You may remember that it started back in 2019 and ended up in the legislature and was eventually vetoed by Governor Janet Mills, which led to it being put on the ballot this November. But again, this loss, obviously not what they hoped for. But during their campaign tonight, in their speech tonight, their concession speech, they talked a lot about the influence that CMP and Versant had on this election. They put in quite a few millions of dollars into advertising, trying to sway it towards the no side. And they talked about how they were outspent 40-1 in some cases as a small grassroots campaign. But tonight we wanted to ask their campaign manager about what this movement will look like moving forward and what that could mean for Maine ratepayers.
We're going to think about our next steps as we started to put this on the ballot. We're going to do that together.
Do you see that being another referendum, or do you see that taking place at the State House?
We're going to really work through this together to make sure that both we're thinking about the kind of transformational change that we need. CMP and Versant will never be putting Mainers first because it's not their job.
Overall, it seems like the Pine Tree Power campaign and that grassroots movement is not committing to anything moving forward, but their message tonight is that they're not going away. So this loss tonight may only be one more bump in the road, and it probably won't be the last time we hear about our power, Pine Tree Power, or the push for some type of consumer-owned utility in our state. We're live in Portland tonight. Dan Lamparello, CBS 13 News. Back to you.
Yeah, it's definitely been a long battle, Dan. We'll see if it continues. Also breaking tonight, question 2 on the ballot because, perhaps indirectly, because of question 3. Now, should foreign governments be allowed to spend money on campaigns here in Maine?
The results are in. Again, it is overwhelming tonight. 86% of people saying yes. Stephanie Gridley joins us live in the newsroom with the final decision for Mainers. Stephanie.
Marissa, Greg, Mainers have voted overwhelmingly in favor of banning foreign government and entities that they own, control, or influence from making campaign contributions or financing communications for or against candidates or ballot questions. Take a look at your screen. Like you just heard, 86% of Maine voters saying they want to limit foreign spending in Maine elections. Only 14% voting no. This yes vote tonight means foreign governments or organizations which have at least 5% foreign ownership or control are now banned effectively from spending money to influence ballot measures or candidate elections here in Maine. This question, too, originally stems from Canadian company Hydro-Quebec's efforts to support the power corridor in Maine in 2021. The group Maine Citizens for Clean Elections says tonight the results show Mainers care about issues surrounding money in politics. Critics had said question 2 violates free speech, and Governor Janet Mills had previously vetoed 2 pieces of legislation banning foreign spending, saying it's unconstitutional. But Mainers obviously seem to think otherwise. Greg, Marissa, back to you.
Stephanie, thanks. And Mainers are overwhelmingly supporting question 4, the so-called right to repair.
Yeah, projected to pass, and this one's not even close. Take a look at the numbers one more time. 84% saying, yeah, we want the right to repair in Maine. CBS13's Mal Meyer is joining us live in Portland with why supporters believe this was needed, Mal.
Well, Greg, the Right to Repair Coalition is feeling extremely excited and thankful to Mainers who supported this effort that has been years in the making. They have been arguing that cars are getting more and more complex as time goes on. They have ways to get critical information that they need to repair these cars from automakers, but they're worried that won't always be the case, despite a major pact that was reached over the summer to keep that available. With the right to repair, it would require certain manufacturers to standardize onboard diagnostic systems. They'd also have to provide remote access to those systems to both repair shops and owners. Maine would be the second state behind Massachusetts to have this on the books, but it's faced ongoing court challenges since being passed there in 2020.
You know, I can't speak for the car manufacturers. I think we've seen that they'll stop at nothing to control this information and have a monopoly on this information. So we hope they don't sue. If they do, you know, we plan on working with the Maine Attorney General to make sure this law is implemented in its proper way.
The president and CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, which represents many of the big car manufacturers, says in a statement that the results were unsurprising. He says that out-of-state big box auto retailers spent millions trying to scare Mainers into thinking that the right to repair their vehicles was going away, but it's not. Instead, he says that this was a way to grab your car data and get access to your car dashboard in order to sell you things. Reporting live in Portland, Mal Meyer, CBS 13 News.
Mal, thanks so much. A tight race tonight in Portland's mayoral election. Very close. It will head to a ranked choice runoff scheduled for tomorrow.
Yeah, no one getting to 50% tonight. CBS 13's Anna Kuhn's been following those numbers as we take a look right now. Again, Mark Dion is the leader, but ignore that check mark for the moment because he needs to get to 50% plus 1 vote to avoid a ranked choice runoff. That's not going to happen tonight. Again, Anna Kuhn joining us live in Portland. Anna, what's the latest out there?
Greg, Marissa, like you said, no candidate has come close to that 50% margin, which means we won't have a mayoral elect announced tonight. But we are outside of Mark Dion's campaign watch party this evening. And as you said, he is leading in that race right now. This watch party is wrapping up as those numbers come in tonight. But a lot of energy inside that bar earlier tonight since Dion is leading in those polls by about 13 points. But he only has about 39% of the vote, which is far below the 50% needed to be declared the mayoral elect. And right behind him are 2 other current city councilors, Andrew Zarro, who has about 26% of the vote, followed by Pius Ali with about 21%. But those numbers could change a lot in a ranked choice count tomorrow. It all depends on who the losing candidates' ballots had marked as their number 2 choice. We spoke to Councilor Mark Dion earlier tonight about how he's feeling.
You know, I was out at the polls at 7 this morning. I've just gotten in. I've talked to everyone. I've shaken hundreds of hands, and I've asked for their support, and hopefully we're going to get it.
Those absentee ballot counts are just now rolling in, again showing that we are heading to a ranked choice count tomorrow. City officials say that count will begin tomorrow at 10 a.m. Live in Portland, Anna Kuhn, CBS 13 News.
All right, the wait continues. Anna, thank you. Maine's second largest city narrowing down its choice for mayor to 2 candidates. They will face off in a runoff election next month.
Yeah, breaking down the numbers, incumbent Mayor Carl Chalene, he has the most votes for the moment, more than 3,600, but he did not receive 50% of the vote. No ranked choice here, so it's a runoff. CBS 13's Owen Kingsley breaks down what happens next.
A runoff election here in Lewiston between former state representative John Connor and current mayor Carl Schelin. 4 candidates on the ballot in Lewiston, and both Connor and Schelin surpassed 3,000 total votes, yet neither reached 50%. Earlier Tuesday night, we learned Schelin did reach that mark in absentee ballots, but will need to win a runoff election on December 12th to serve a second term. Mayor Schelin put out this statement Tuesday night that says, in part, there's so much we need to get done for the people of Lewiston, from continuing our city's healing and recovery to confronting our affordable housing crisis. And I'll continue working hard to make Lewiston the best it can be, however I can. We also heard from John Connor, who did not have a formal statement, but tells us he is grateful for all the voters who came out. He believes the voters have spoken and want change in the city's leadership. He also says he will start reaching out to voters on Wednesday. Some interesting results from Lewiston City Council. There will be 6 new members of council and just 1 returning member after 3 who are looking for their re-election bid lost in their re-election on Tuesday. In Lewiston, I'm Owen Kingsley, CBS 13 News.
All right, Owen, thank you very much. And more breaking news tonight, this time out of Auburn, as unofficial results showing that Jeffrey Harmon has won the mayoral race there in Auburn. Harmon beating out the incumbent Jason Levesque by a fairly wide margin. Again, apparently a change in leadership there. Mayor Levesque posting on Facebook talking about that tonight. Again, looks like the challenger winning in Auburn.
All right, colder temperatures are moving in tonight. We're tracking a pretty chilly air mass for our Wednesday. How much colder it's going to get. When to expect a wintry mix. That returns to the forecast up next.
Schools were also on the ballot today. Voters in Windham and Raymond will decide if a new middle school should be built for students in RSU 14. If passed, Jordan Small Middle School in Raymond and Windham Middle School would close. The schools would combine into a new building in Windham for grades 5 through 8. The price tag stands at $171.5 million. State funds would take care of most of that, leaving just shy of $40 million to be paid by tax dollars. Windham homeowners would pay 80% and Raymond 20%, which is the percentage of students coming from each town. Today, voters in Scarborough will decide on a new $160 million elementary school. If passed, the proposal will create a new school for kindergarten through 3rd grade. Wentworth School would shift to 4th through 6th grades, and Scarborough Middle School would teach just 7th and 8th graders. According to community leaders, classrooms throughout the district are overcrowded. The population of Scarborough is growing, and town leaders say by 2027 they will be out of room. As for the price tag on that plan for at least the first decade of the 30-year loan, the town estimates about a $200 rise in property taxes for a home worth $400,000.
And in Litchfield, Sabattis and Wales, people there voting on a 4th school budget proposal. This latest RSU 4 budget stands at $21.6 million, about $200,000 less than the budget number 3. The first 3 budgets were approved by the school board, rejected by voters, still waiting for results tonight in RSU 4.
Now, your CBS 13 Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie LaPresti.
A cold front moved through this afternoon. Good evening, everyone. We made it into the 60s today. It was nice to feel that with some sun. But here's the cold front. It brought with it a shower and a rumble of thunder. Some of you reported some hail with that feature. Now cooler air is moving in. We actually had a decent little sunset around 4:21 this evening. Tomorrow's a day filled with sun, but don't let that fool you. Highs will be in the low 40s. Wind chills tomorrow. They'll be in the low to mid 30s for a good chunk of the day. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a windy day. It's going to be a cool day. It's not going to be extreme, but it's going to feel a lot different than today. So it's one of those days that you just don't want to forget the jacket, maybe the hats and the gloves heading off to work or school tomorrow morning. Winds tomorrow, they're out of the northwest, 10 to 20 miles per hour. We'll get some gusts around 30 miles per hour. We're already gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Current wind gusts, look at this, Freiburg, 35 miles per hour. Mount Washington has had hurricane force winds tonight, and air temperatures are in the teens up there. Most towns are in the 40s for current temps. Notice up in the mountains from Berlin to Rangeley, you are flirting with the freezing mark. Let's talk about highs for a minute tomorrow. Again, tomorrow's a day filled with sun. Highs tomorrow, they're going to struggle to get out of the low 40s. Today we made it into the low 60s. Tomorrow, low 40s, a solid 20 degrees cooler. Normal highs are right in the middle there, right around 50 degrees. They'll be nowhere near there tomorrow. We have a few fingers of snow showers getting organized in the mountains. This is fairly typical in the winter months. We call this upslope snow. You can kind of make out the wind direction from the way these fingers are kind of projected from northwest to southeast here. So the winds, they're out of the northwest tonight. Some light accumulations of snow are possible in the mountains overnight. It's not going to even be a big deal there. So skies will be clear overnight and into the day tomorrow. Here's our cold front moving out. Skies will be mostly sunny with cool windy conditions on Wednesday. So we've already outlined that. Let's fast forward to our Thursday situation. There's a warm front trying to punch through. Now warmer air is not going to get in here. So initially temperatures are going to be cold enough at the ground level that we're going to start as some snow. It'll be cold enough aloft that will start as snow as well. But what's going to happen is some warmer air is going to try to punch in above us. So that will change us over to sleet and potentially a little bit of freezing rain. Whatever falls on Thursday is going to be very light. This is not going to be a big storm, but perhaps enough for some slippery travel in the morning. Tomorrow starts with a lot of sun. It ends with a lot of sun. That's 2:30 in the afternoon. No problems tomorrow as far as precipitation goes. The precip moves in on Thursday with a pretty good slug of snow. I think many areas get their first flakes of the season. That's 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Notice that pink color right there? That's a little bit of sleet mixing in, maybe a little freezing rain as well. Again, warmer air comes in aloft, but right at the ground level, temperatures are in the low 30s still. Coastal areas, you'll probably end with a little bit of drizzle. Inland areas will end with a little bit of freezing drizzle, I think. So it's just, it's kind of like a winter pattern here. But as far as snowfall and sleet amounts go, I think most areas get a coating to an inch. I think there'll be some spots up in the hills and mountains that get maybe up to 2 inches of snow. Stay tuned. It's the front end of this one on Thursday morning. We may actually have a decent little slug of snow early in the day before the changeover. Overnight lows tonight, upper 20s and low 30s. We're back in the low 40s tomorrow. 7-day calls for a lot of sun tomorrow. Notice some of that wintry mix moves in on Thursday. After Thursday, there's really not much going on here, guys. We have a lot of sunshine, high pressure builds in, but it's a cool high with highs in the 40s and lows in the 20s. So here we go, deeper into November. It's getting colder.
Yeah, and a little below normal, slightly anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, today was kind of an anomaly, low 60s, but
yeah.
It's back to reality tomorrow, I think. And Thursday. Thursday could be interesting in the morning.
It does look rough in
Yeah.
the morning.
Yep.
All right, thanks very much, Charlie. Still ahead in sports, Dave's got the regional finals in high school soccer. They were on the line tonight.
The thrilling finish between Gorham and Scarborough and how this game went to overtime. Next in sports.
I can. Thank you. All right.
Now, the Ware Butler Sports Report on CBS 13 with Dave Eade.
Good evening, everyone. The regional finals in high school soccer beginning tonight for 8-person, along with classes A and D. Boys, Class A South, crosstown rivals Portland and Deering squaring off. Trip to States on the line midway through the first. That is Deering's Nick Simon Mobamba with the direct kick score. And Deering with a 1-0 lead. What a shot. Second half, Rams looking for another, but look at this save from Portland goalkeeper Calvin Hale. Going up high. Late in regulation, Bulldogs looking for the equalizer, but Rams goalkeeper Adio Lufamba Mambanza making a nice stop there. Deering is headed to States after defeating Portland 1-0. They will take on the Lewiston Blue Devils on Saturday. Blue Devils also winning 1-0 tonight as well. Girls Class A South final. Top-seeded Scarborough facing number 2 Gorham. No score in the first off a corner kick. Scarborough's Lena Duranovic drills it in midair. A spectacular goal, and the Red Storm strike first. Second half now. Still 1-0 Scarborough. This is Maggie Booth with a great move, and then watch her pivot and fire it top shelf. Red Storm with a 2-0 lead, but less than a minute later, Gorham awarded a penalty kick. Ashley Connolly picks her spot, puts it home. Rams within 1, still plenty of time, under 4 to go, and the Rams are going to storm the net. Lindy Moreland is going to bury the equalizer right here, tying the game at 2 and sending it to overtime. But early in the OT, less than a minute in, keep your eyes on Scarborough's number 13, Emmy Flaker, showing off that blazing speed, and she's going to put home the game winner. Scarborough is heading to States after a thrilling 3-2 overtime win over the Gorham Rams.
We tried to just keep up our energy and not give up because we knew that we'd keep fighting and things would be in our favor.
All right, girls Class A North. Top-seeded Bangor facing number 2 Camden Hills. Second half no score. Bangor's Olivia Scott finding Tegan Atherley, who's going to put it home, giving the Rams a 1-0 lead. Minutes later now, and the Rams would strike again, and again it's Atherley, her second of the night, and just like that, Bangor had a 2-0 lead, but Camden Hills would come back. Leah Snyder breaks in, and she's gonna put it home. Windjammers pull to within 1, but Bangor survives to win Class A North 2-1 over Camden Hills. The Rams will play Scarborough on Saturday.
It feels great. I'm thrilled. I'm happy that I could help my team. And yeah, I'm just excited for the next one.
Well, for the first time in 20 years, the USM field hockey team is headed to the NCAA Division III National Tournament. Fresh off a 1-0 win over Keene to win the Little East Conference Championship, the Huskies will next play Tufts in round 1 on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. That game will be played at Tufts in Medford, Massachusetts. The Huskies are elated to be in the big dance and are confident they can go a long way.
Where we'll find success is we have a lot of great players on our team who contribute to that success. We don't have just one goal scorer. There are games where we've had 4 or 5 girls score, and just really utilizing all of our players will be key.
Now that we get the opportunity to show up in NCAA tournament time, I think it's going to be really great to see what we can do and how much further we can push the belt and keep winning some games.
Yeah, that is something that's been a long time coming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good luck to the Huskies tomorrow night.
Dave, thanks. We'll be right back.
The Veterans Day drive-through thank you was sponsored by U.S. Cellular, American Legion Department of Maine, and 88 Donut Cafe.
This week, CBS 13 and Fox 23, we are proud to honor our veterans. We are hosting our second annual Veterans Day drive-through thank you.
On Friday from 7 to 10 a.m., we invite veterans and their families to come to the station here at 81 Northport Drive in Portland for some free donuts and coffee.
It's our way to say thank you for your service. Again, it's happening this Friday, 7 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and we certainly hope to see you there.
We hope the sun will be out for that, Charlie.
It should. The snow, sleet, and rain will be gone by Friday. How's that sound?
That's good.
Well, I'm glad we're not having this on Thursday.
Me too. Exactly. That would be it'd be interesting. I'm sure everybody will be enjoying their hot coffee if it was still snowing outside. But Friday will be better. Hey, let's take a look at what we have for tomorrow first. No problems expected tomorrow as far as precipitation goes. It will, however, be chilly. Temperatures tomorrow will be in the low 40s for highs, but wind chills will be in the low 30s. Notice on the bottom of your screen there that northwest wind, that'll be around 10 to 20 miles per hour. And we'll get gusts around 30 miles per hour tomorrow. So tomorrow's windy. Thursday starts with snow. I think we'll go to sleet. We'll probably go to a little bit of freezing rain and a little bit of freezing drizzle inland at the coastline. We'll end with plain drizzle. And notice the big temperature change between inland and coast. It's probably around freezing for a high inland, while coastal areas make it into the upper 30s. That's maybe a coating to an inch of snow and sleet, guys. Not a huge weather maker, but Friday's looking a little bit better. Maybe the novelty of, first flakes of the season. I know the kids get excited about it, but I think that's how we'll start the day Thursday.
Not too much to talk about though with that, it sounds like.
No.
It's not going to last.
No major storms are in the forecast, but maybe enough for some slippery travel.
It'll make people think about snow tires.
Yeah.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us.
More election coverage coming up tomorrow morning, too.